Hello, friends. Welcome to the Sober Bartender podcast, the show where we recover from life. I'm your host, Brandy Kelly. Welcome to your day. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. So that can feel like a blessing or it can feel like a curse. Today, we are going to kick off summer. Summer officially starts June 23rd, but I can tell you that down here on the South Texas coast, it is definitely feeling like summer. It's low 90s, it's humid, the sun is shining. I think I had 3 beach days this last week. It's pretty nice. So we're going to do a sober summer series. So today is day 1, week 1 of our sober summer series. And today I want to talk about travel. I want to talk about how to travel sober, how to decide if you're ready to travel. There is not a set timeline, as with all things in recovery, whatever you're recovering from. There are no set, there's no hard guidelines. There's nothing that says, okay, well, now you haven't drank in 6 months, you're good to go, or you need to wait for a year, or, those things, those parameters are very individual. And it's very much a knowing of yourself and where you're at. And I can tell you, in early sobriety, I did travel. This last time around, my sobriety date is December 10th, but I had entered recovery following a period of drinking. I had entered recovery in November, and then 17 days in, I had a trip planned to Vegas. And because I had some time sober before that, I felt overly confident that I could go and have no problem. And I was wrong. I failed to plan. And they say if you fail to plan, then plan to fail. And while I didn't fail at life, I failed at my goal to not drink on that trip. There were some interesting things that I noticed on that trip as well. I noticed that I never was a beer drinker, and I'm not a non-alcoholic beer drinker. When I go out, I'll drink, a Diet Coke, or I'll drink a soda water, or maybe a juice, but I'm not I don't need to feel like I have a replacement for the alcohol to feel like I'm still a part of. But on that trip, at my 17 days without a drink, I very much wanted to go and get non-alcoholic beer. I wanted to, feel like I was a part of, and it was going and getting a Virgin Bloody Mary, but getting regular Bloody Marys for everybody else, and the Virgin Bloody Mary for me, that it was like a switch flipped in my brain. And I said, actually, will you just make that a double? And then I sat there silently drinking and just letting go of the fight, letting go of the intention, and letting go of the fear of the repercussions, because there are always consequences when I drink. And I wasn't concerned about those in that moment. I just wanted the release, because I just felt so on edge, and I felt like everyone was so relaxed and everyone was having so much fun, and I couldn't, or I shouldn't. I wasn't allowed to. And that's a tough mindset to be in when you're in early recovery. But it was one of the biggest blessings, because it actually showed me that I didn't want it yet. Like I wanted it, but I wasn't done. And so I did drink through the rest of that vacation, and it was, I mean, nothing bad happened, but nothing good happened. And I got to spend time, as the last time that I got to spend time with that friend group, and it's blurry at best. Like I don't have those core memories of the last time I remember getting there, and then I remember waking up the next day. So anywho, so let's start out with, when are you ready to travel? So like I said, there's not necessarily a set timeline, but I think that there's a feeling in yourself to where you have no desire. You have no desire to drink or to use. That's when I feel like you know that you're ready, to where you have a foundation in yourself, in your recovery, in your desire to stay sober no matter what. And I mean, for me, it had to be the number one objective. Every single day I had to wake up and want that more than I wanted anything else. Because a lot of stuff comes up. I mean, even now in life, things come up, but that's not an option. I'm able to, willing to, desire to face whatever comes my way in my life without needing to escape, without needing to soften the brunt of things. But it takes work, and you have to really utilize your tools and your resources and your network. And that can be hard if you don't have one. So if you're doing this alone, please know that it's a lot easier if you find people who are on a similar mission. There are people that really want to help. So when it comes to planning where you're going to go, like let's say you just know that you want to take some kind of summer break, you get to decide your destination. It's not like a family thing where you're going for something, a family reunion or a family trip. Let's say you get to plan your own trip. So there are some things that you can look for when planning that trip. So some activities, I mean, you know what you like. There are things that I haven't done that I don't know if I like, but there are things that I want to try. So I'm going to give you just a general list of things to maybe look for or keep in mind when planning out this summer getaway. So, like, I would really like to go camping, kayaking. You could always do food tours, cooking classes, look for places with museums, walking tours. If you're a water person, look for snorkeling. There's always the option of yoga and wellness retreats, horseback riding, art classes. And then there's always the staycation options like picnics, reading, hammocks. There's always the option of, doing something where you're at, but stepping outside of your everyday life, because, a lot of us feel like we need a break from the norm. So when you've picked your trip, when you know where you're going, it's really helpful if you set the intention that this is going to be a sober trip. So the idea that you're going so that you can, not going to try not to party, but just going to live your best sober life, because we get to do these things. We don't have to stay sober. We get to stay sober. So set your intention, do your research. So once you've picked your place, do research on what is available there. Not just wing it, because like when I would go places, it was just kind of bar to bar, and I would stumble across cool things in the meantime. But really it was just, where can I get the next drink? And I thought I was creating memories, and I don't remember them. Remember, it's very helpful to seek pampering over partying. So how can you take care of yourself? How can you lift yourself up? I was reading this morning, and it was talking about self-compassion is the opposite of self-pity. So when you feel like you're missing out and you feel like you don't get to do things and you're being punished and everything is a consequence instead of a blessing, that's where I think self-compassion can come in and can really make a difference. Like how can you look at this differently and see it as giving yourself a gift? How can you look at it as something that you deserve? Because you deserve good things. You deserve to have this vacation that you worked hard for. Happiness is your birthright. And that's why it feels so bad to feel bad. Because we deserve to feel good. But truly good. Not the fleeting escape good, but good to our core. Like all the way through good. It's important to choose your travel companions. You do not want to take blackout brandy on your sober vacation. You do not want to take the person that you know is likely to encourage or question your intentions. You want people who are going to support and be like-minded when you pursue, this sober travel. I feel like it's important to stay connected to your support system. So when I initially started traveling this time around, I had a plan in place. I had an airport plan. I had a landing plan. I had a plan once I was there. So when it was set that when I got to the airport, I was going to text a friend in recovery. And it didn't have to be like, hey, I'm okay. It wasn't white knuckling. It was just so that I could stay connected to my intention and to the fact that I'm doing this thing that's bigger than me. And, previously when I would get to the airport, the first thing that I would do as soon as I got through security was look for a bar because, there's no clocks in the airport except when it comes to getting on your flight. So drinking and airports and planes were very much like they all went together for me. So it was tough and it was important for me to have a plan. So staying connected, having somebody, I let the friend know ahead of time, but I'm going to text you and we're just going to keep in touch while I'm at the airport. So that was a helpful thing. Bringing something, whether it's a crossword puzzle or whether it's a book or whether it's, an article that you want to read or a podcast that you want to listen to, or, making like a playlist ahead of time that you're going to jam out to, or planning ahead of time that you're going to, download movies for when you don't have Wi-Fi, whatever it is, just, don't let yourself get bored. Don't let yourself get, just caught up in like the swirling thoughts. And the airport is a big one. The plane is the same thing. And that's where you want to have like either a downloaded playlist, you want to have something planned ahead of time, just to keep you focused, so that then that thinking of, the either the anxiety of flying or the anxiety of traveling or just the familiarity of ordering a drink on a plane doesn't creep in and take over. And then for those people that are in 12-step recovery, a neat thing I heard is if you are in the airport and you are alone and you feel like you are going to drink, you can actually go to your gate and tell them, ask them to page a friend of Bill. And that's code for someone in AA needs support. They feel like they're going to drink. So yeah, they can page a friend to Bill to whatever gate you're at. And so that's pretty neat. So let's say you make it through the airport, you're enjoying your trip, the plane ride is great because you've planned ahead and you've got your tools intact. Once you land, it could go great and you could just go have the time of your life, but it could also be uncomfortable. So you definitely want to have some routine planned. You want to have some of your recovery with you, whether that's journaling, whether that's a meditation app, whether that's, a gratitude list, whatever things bring you comfort and make you feel grounded and make you feel connected to this thing that you are doing that is saving and changing your life. You want to do those things before it gets too bad. Like before there's a problem, you want to just follow your same routine, because then you're not feeling so out of source and separated from yourself. So yeah, that can look like many different things, but I say, stick to your routine or have a specific vacation routine planned, to keep you just in your routine. When I did travel that first time, I think most times that I travel, I did seek out recovery meetings. I can't think of one vacation that I have taken while not drinking where I did not seek out whatever recovery support they had in that area. And it's not a have to, it's a get to, and you get to meet other people and you get to, just check in and explore what it looks like and be reminded that it doesn't matter where you go. People's lives are affected by drugs and alcohol everywhere. And that support is also offered everywhere. I found it very comforting. I found it, it's also an example to other people, especially, if you have a little bit of time and foundation underneath you, it's a good example of what to do for other people. When you travel, it doesn't go on hold. The need for support, the need for a plan doesn't go on hold. So that being said, I can honestly say that now I don't worry about travel. I don't need to take into account whether or not I feel safe, because I feel safe and secure in my being, in myself. So my summer plans are looking pretty exciting. We moved here last August from north of Seattle, and it looks like we will be heading up there. And so I do make sure that I have a plan for the airport, not because I think I'm going to drink, but I don't want to sit and stress. I'm kind of an overthinker. I think most of us are. I'm an overthinker, especially when it comes to my plans, and I need a little bit more flow in my life. I need to let things happen because, fun fact, they're going to happen the way they're going to happen anyway, regardless of my plans. And people say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And I keep this little sign on my bookcase that says God has a vision far greater than my sight. And I can make all the plans that I want, but life is still going to life. Like the flow is still going to flow. And so if I am in the flow with the flow, then I'm not struggling and I'm not suffering. And I use this analogy often, but you picture life as this river that you're floating down, right? And there you are, you're floating down the river, but you're in a little boat or you're in a little canoe and you have a life vest on. And you can sit and you can flow in that river and it's just going to take you. There will be moments where you have to decide, which way to steer, but regardless, you flow with the river. Keep in mind that God, source, the universe, just divine isness that is creation, is the river, is the bank, and is the life vest, because we're all just vibration. All of these things are there just keeping you safe and guiding you. But when you start thinking, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't be going this, I need to go back the other way. If you start going against that current and trying to fight it, all you're doing is struggling and you're still going the same way. Like your struggle doesn't take you in a different direction. It just makes it harder. So the idea of just letting go and just flowing in this direction and trusting that everything is figure outable, that everything is working out for your highest good. It just takes that load off. And I don't have this perfected by any means. I still struggle. I still go against the flow. There are still things that they just are, and I don't want them to be. And I don't get relief from that until I let go, until I accept and eventually love what is. It's been a hard week here at the house. My little studio assistant, Luna, had a little snafu in the backyard. I was at work and my husband had to rush her to the ER because she got a gash on her side, roughhousing in the backyard. And like I struggled through that day. Like I was just gripped with wanting to try to control the situation, wanting it to not have happened, wanting to know what happened. But, we have a great big backyard and shit happens. So, yeah, when things or things that seem to be obstacles, things that seem undesirable come into my reality, I have to remember that obstacles are detours in the right direction. Anything that comes into my life and just is, I can learn from, I can grow from, and I do feel like it's all here. It's all here as a blessing. And I feel like there's a lot to learn when we travel and we know more of ourselves, especially when we do it sober, because there's no wasted days. There's no foggy memories when you get to show up present and you get to decide, make these decisions for yourself and make this you know, when you're doing things and you're doing them without dulling and escaping, if you're doing them fully present, then not only do you get to see more and remember more, but you experience more. You get to know yourself more. You get to actually know what you like and what you don't like because you're not distracted. I feel like if you're early in your journey, or if you're not on a recovery journey and you just enjoy the show, I feel like a lot of these things apply to all of us, just to have a more fulfilled experience. So if you have a healthy relationship with alcohol, that is wonderful. Only you know that. Nobody gets to decide that for you. So when I do talk about, leaving alcohol behind or unhealthy drinking, I am talking to the people who feel that they're harming themselves, who know that they have an unhealthy relationship, who know that they want something different or more. I just want to remind everybody that anything that is possible in this world is possible for you. So all of the good, all of the seemingly out of grasp things are available to you. But they don't just fall into our lap usually. It takes some focus. It takes putting our attention on that thing, giving our energy to that thing. But anything that you decide to do, if you commit your mind to it, if you set your intention, if you place your energy into that thing, and then you take the actionable steps, you will attain that thing. Maybe not in an unrealistic timeline, because I know I want things now, and I know that the things are coming, but not on my timeline. But I know that if I do not give up on things, I will eventually achieve, attain, possess, whatever it is. It's all possible. We all have this light inside of us. All of us have this light inside of us that wants to shine. And we also have all these things in our life that we feel we need to focus on. And I feel like focusing on those things dulls our shine. And if I put my primary focus on my shine, if I put my primary focus on the light that's inside of me and expanding that light and letting it be a warm, glowing light, and that's first and foremost. And I don't sit down to pay the bills without, illuminating that light. And I don't sit down to have an uncomfortable conversation without illuminating that light. I don't step into a workplace or a place that, a grocery store where there's just, tons of people and tons of energies. And if I'm focused on illuminating that light, I feel better. And I feel like in turn, I share that with other people. Whereas when I don't, when I'm in a hurry, when I'm irritated, when I'm only focused on what I need, then I feel like I'm more of a detriment to other people because I'm irritated. I'm rushing. I feel like people are in my way, or they're slowing me down, or as opposed to just being a loving awareness, just aware of me, aware of you, aware of the space, and loving it all. That feels good. It feels good to come from that space. And it's okay if we're not in that space, but it just feels better. And yeah, feelings, they're not facts, but they are a great compass. And so, that being said, I implore you to join me next week for our Sober Summer series, where we do discuss how feelings aren't facts. Our feelings are valid, but they are not facts. So I just want to recap what I went over today. Some ideas for sober vacay: kayaking, camping, food tours, cooking classes, museums, walking tours, snorkeling, yoga or wellness retreats, horseback riding, art classes, and then picnics, reading, hammocks, relaxing. There's also, you could volunteer. That's something very fulfilling that you could dedicate yourself to for like just the summer season. Knowing when to travel in early sobriety is really a personal, it's really a personal thing. And that's where you need to feel secure in your skin. If you still feel like you can't stand to be in your own skin, you're going to feel like that anywhere. And if you still feel like drinking is an option, you're going to feel like that anywhere. So just, be true to you, be honest with you, trust your intuition, not your thoughts, but your intuition, that inner knowing, that inner voice. And as far as once you're on vacation, we talked about setting an intention, doing your research, planning out your activities, pampering over partying, choosing your companions, staying connected to your support, and sticking to your routine or planning out a routine. So I hope those things were helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Instagram at the Sober Bartender Podcast, or on Facebook in the Sober Bartender Facebook group. And on YouTube, just comment. And if you're enjoying the show, please take time to like, share, subscribe, and also rate and review. That helps us get seen, that helps us get heard, that helps us reach the ears that need to hear this message. If you are struggling, if you are suffering today, I just want to tell you that I love you and that you matter, and that I am so glad that you are here and you are going to get through this. It does get easier. It does get better. And if you are rocking life and just happy to be alive, I see you. Illuminate that light. Shine your lights. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. And once again, join me next week for our Sober Summer series. And we'll be talking about feelings. We'll be discussing feelings aren't facts. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you next Wednesday.